This is Will Aubrey here with Chris Champion, head football coach at Callaway County High School. And Coach, you're about ready to get the season started. How are the Lakers coming along?
We've progressed a lot, over this last year. Probably the biggest gains that we made was, strength and conditioning and just overall knowledge of the new offense and defensive system that we put in. Spring practice and summer practice was, considerably easier this year just for the simple fact that, our kids knew the things that we had already put in and worked on. And so far, we've really made strides in those aspects.
What can you tell us about the new offensive system, and then we'll talk about the defensive system after that?
Offensively, it won't be much different than what it was last year. For the most part, we'll be sticking to the same scheme. We've had to, make some adjustments because of personnel, but when we got back nearly all of our skill guys, and our offensive line is very young this year, but they're progressing along nicely. So, for the most part, we'll be doing a balance of run and pass and screens and trying to get the football to our fast guys.
What about on defense?
Defensively, we'll be pretty much the same. We kept quite a bit of our secondary from last year and had to replace quite a bit in the trenches. We'll be doing a couple different things schematically as far as pass coverages and blitz concepts and stuff. Just to try to help out our younger guys. But it's nice when you return the core guys that we did. So the biggest thing is really not to change a bunch or to adjust a bunch, but rather just to get good or get a lot better at what we implemented last year, and instead of being good at it, see if we can be great at it.
Who will the starting quarterback be this year?
Starting quarterback for us this year will be John Foster. That shouldn't be a surprise. He started every game for us last year, and Johnny's really come along nicely. He hit the weights hard this off season and did a lot of work on his own, and he's really been throwing some nice balls this summer.
What's the running back position look like?
Running back position is going to be a mix of several different kids. Jacob Waters and Zach Orange will be taking the majority of our snaps, and they'll be sharing a lot of reps on that side because they both play defense with us. T. Bledsoe is a guy who, we really need him to come along and try to get a few reps at running back for us to take some of the load. But, our hopes is we can get a 2 or 3 person rotation at running back just because the guys that happen to be playing running back also have to start defense for us.
What about wide receiver?
Wide receiver core, that group's definitely led, by Luke Swepker there. But, we still return some other really big targets. Jacob Phillips does a really nice job for us. Montrell Rogers was a freshman who got hurt last year, who's come back and is, I think can be an impact player. Aaron Fennell will start seeing a lot more snaps on the offensive side of the ball this year at H. Kai Franklin is a returning starter at the Y, who is just a good route runner. Has got great hands and is fearless catching the ball. Connor Potts is another big target that we're going to try to utilize a little bit more. He's a big body that can run well and has phenomenal hands. And then finally in Luke's position at our Z, he'll definitely get plenty of snaps, but he's got a good backup there in Drew Hudgen as well, and he's another young sophomore that's coming along, and he's really going to help us out a lot by giving some of these older guys some breaks on offense.
Of course, Luke will be at wide receiver, but would you try to find other ways to get him the ball?
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing we did last year and the one thing we'll try to do this year is we will never end a game by not getting our best athlete the football. So, if we can't throw him the ball, we'll try to hand it off to him. If we can't hand it off to him, then we'll snap directly to it. But regardless, our best athletes are going to get the football one way or the other.
On the offensive line, and, football experts always say that's where it always starts. Do you have experience there?
We don't have much. Our most experienced returning offensive lineman was a freshman last year who ended up earning a starting spot, midway through the football season, and Luke Cullop. And but Luke ended up starting, I believe, 6 games for us last year, and did a great job for us as a freshman. We put a lot on him, and his leadership and work ethic is pretty intoxicating, and you can tell that a lot of those other young guys have kind of looked up to him, even though he is young. He's our guy who's got a lot of experience. We do have an older guy last year who suffered quite a bit of shoulder problems that couldn't get much playing time, and James Frazier, who will be getting a lot of reps, and the rest of our makeup will be sophomores and juniors. So, but as far as returning starters goes, we only have one there. But so far, I'm impressed with the way they've come along through this season, and hopefully they continue to get better through the season.
Will you be able to go with a platoon pretty much, or will you have a lot of guys who are playing both sides of the football?
Right now we're going to have several guys playing both sides of the football, and that's going to be super tough early on. Anytime we can platoon positions or position groups, that's fantastic. But in the end, we're going to keep our best kids on the field, and I hope that as we get through our scrimmages and get into the season, that some other kids end up surprising us and can end up being role players for us in some capacity.
What's the defensive line look like?
Defensive line is, again, another very young group. The only returning starter there was Connor Potts, who plays a hybrid linebacker position for us. But we've kind of moved some guys around, and Nick Waters, who we moved from linebacker down to defensive end, is doing a good job for us. He's a smaller guy, but he's very strong and he's very quick, and he's really soaking up and learning about that position. And in the middle, we're just going to have a big rotation of most of our offensive linemen. I hope that we can get to where we can play 5 or 6 different guys, at nose guard and tackle.
Okay. What about the linebackers?
Linebackers, we're still working through some guys. I believe we have 3 guys that are really kind of emerging through as far as our Mike and Will go. Jacob Waters has moved from safety down to linebacker. Our middle linebacker is kind of 2 guys sharing reps right now in Canyon Franklin and Logan Emery. And the only linebacker we have starting is Isaac Smith, who's our Sam linebacker and plays out in space a little bit more.
And the secondary?
Secondary, again, it's most of the same guys. We returned both of our starting safeties, and Aaron Fennell and Keaton Elliott. Then out at corners, hopefully we get we're continuing trying to get a rotation out there in Luke Swepker and Zach Orange and Montrell Rogers and T. Bledsoe. And then also we have Kai Franklin and Drew Hudgen, who are also coming in and playing safety for us, and Jacob Phillips as well. So I feel like in the 4 secondary spots, I feel like we have 8 guys that can play back there, and I feel comfortable with playing back there right now.
What about the kickers and other specialists?
Returned Ian Clark this year, who's a kid that's really put in a lot of work. He had some moments last year where he had some really nice kicks for us and buried some nice deep field goals, and I'm hoping that we can do a lot better job doing some of the little things. We weren't very good at punting last year and protecting up front or on field goal extra points, so that's something that we really put a lot of emphasis on this year. So we can give our kicker a little more time to get the ball off. But Ian's done a great job, and he's doing a good job placing his kicks, and he's a guy that can kick off and put it in the end zone as well. As far as other specialists, we've got guys that I hope people kick the ball to. Aaron Fennell is kind of dynamite on kickoff and punt return, and obviously Luke Swepker is as well. So if anybody wants to kick the ball to them, I'm excited to see what they can do with it.
You have a scrimmage this Friday?
We do. We travel to Crittenden County this Friday, and we'll be playing those guys at 6 o'clock.
Okay, and then you open the season against Todd County Central here at home on the 23rd, correct?
Yes, that's right.
What can you tell us about Todd County Central?
Todd County is traditionally always a very hard-working group of football players there. They run a lot more of an old-style system. They do a little bit of different power formations. They'll run pro I and power I, and too tight wishbone, and then every now and then they'll get in and spread it out and try to throw the ball a little bit. So, preparing for those guys is always kind of hard just for the fact of as many different things that they do. But they've always have some size up front and some athletes that they can get the ball to.
Well, thanks for visiting with us, Coach, and go Lakers.
Thank you.